Ooh, what's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that, well, we would have a nice conversation in the parking lot, but then he would jump me and everybody would film it. JC.
I wouldn't jump you. You'd see it coming, baby. I'd do it right to your face. I ain't scared.
You ain't scared. So we've got a lot to talk about. We've got Raw, we've got SmackDown. Right now we have AEW Title Tuesday versus NXT. It's a whole thing. As well as we've got Bad Blood and Wrestle Dream. So we've got a jam-packed thing to conquer over this week, folks. JC, but where do we start?
Well, we don't start with the shine on pay-per-view weeks, Adam. So we're going to start with Bad Blood, baby. But you know what? I think my biggest shine of the week is what started Bad Blood, baby. That Hell in a Cell match, to me, it delivered. I had a blast watching it. It was violent. Fucking Drew has a gajillion stitches in his head. There was a lot of blood. The event was called Bad Blood, so we kind of expected it, especially in a violent match like this. This is where it is appropriate. But Nestlemania, I had a blast in this match. I thought it was fun. I thought these two guys put it all on the line. I loved how after the match, even though Punk got the victory, he was really overselling it. Comes out on Monday, and he's selling it then too. Both these guys are going to take a well-deserved break here to sell the injuries. It's just like, that's what I'm looking for here from a feud that has literally been going pretty much since the Rumble, when McIntyre eliminated Punk. A long-term story we've talked about all year. Spoiler alert, this is probably going to win Feud of the Year or whatever and Knockers later this year, at least for me, because I think it was awesome. But it's like, this is how you pay it off. You pay it off with a Hell in a Cell type match, a performance like that, and then, you know what? You let these guys breathe a little bit because they put in a lot of work on Saturday night.
I thought they did a great job with the little things at the end of this thing. They did the Future Shock tease. Like, we're going to injure you again for good. The beads at the end were just fantastic.
That was a good spot, yeah.
The toolbox was great. The Claymore where he landed on his back. There were just so many. And then, like, you know, you end it with the chain around the knee for the GTS. It was so many things that were just kind of like the coup de grace, you know, when it comes to the end of this feud. And then, of course, I thought, and then I put this tweet out, but I think people need to really watch this if they want to be professional wrestlers. CM Punk, whether you like him or not, at the end of that match was gasping for air, collapsing. I just want to call my wife.
I think, right?
He goes, I just want to call my wife. He was selling the brutality of it. And then McIntyre was able to walk out on his own accord. So it showed that even if you lose, you still can win. And if you win, you can still lose. And I think that that's an important thing that people miss when you're watching television that is programmed to be wrestling. Or if you're just watching wrestling in general, it's the little things, folks.
Yeah, I mean, you have a match like this, you pay off a feud like this, you're ending a story like this, like, you got to sell that. These guys literally were saying, like, they would kill themselves and kill each other to finish this off, and that's pretty much what they did. They lived up to it, between Punk selling the injuries and then Drew actually having the injury with the top of his head with all those staples. So, yeah, this to me, it was my favorite part of the week. It was my favorite part of the pay-per-view. I thought it was awesome.
14 stitches, by the way. That's a lot of stitches, bitches. I will say this much. JC.
Yes.
Obviously, this will never top Undertaker and Mankind. But do you have
that's a high bar.
That's a high bar. Do you think, when I was watching this, I was like, I think this could be a top 5. It might be 5.
Yeah, I think that's fair without thinking through them all in my head, because it's one of those things, like, what do we talk about all the time in this program? It just means more when you have the type of story behind it, and then you pair that with them delivering in the actual match. Like, to me, that puts it above something that might just be a standalone. You know what I mean? So I think for sure, I think I can safely put it in the top 5 even without deeply thinking about it.
Is it in the match of the year candidate call? Like, is it? I know there's a lot of good
difficult because there's been a lot of really good matches this year. And when you get these gimmicky type matches, it's always that challenge of how do you compare it to the rest, you know, because it obviously is different and the other, you know what I mean? So for me, I don't know if I put it there, but that doesn't mean it won't be one of my favorite matches of the year. But I do think those are two different things, because part of the reason why I love this match is how much I cared about it. You know, if that makes sense, where I could watch a match in, say, AEW where I didn't care, but I watched it and it was fucking awesome. Like that, to me, like, it's a different type of category. But that's why in the Knockers, you know, this will be in rivalry and everything else, because it's more than just what happens in the ring here. And that's what's beautiful about it.
Okay. Moving on. I think the next thing is a really, really interesting match between Finn Balor. And I'm sorry, was it Finn Balor?
Nia and Bailey. And interesting, I don't know if the is the right word.
Sorry, I was getting excited for Priest and Finn Balor. So we've always talked about this. The 2 spot in any type of program is tough. Being right off of that, off the rip, is tough. This match was kind of sloppy. It just didn't deliver, in my opinion. And I think it just, unfortunately, echoed our sentiments about everything that we've been talking about forever with the SmackDown Women's Division. They did a nice little business at the end there with Tiffany when the referee was holding the briefcase, making it look like she was cashing in. I'm sure we'll get more of that on Friday. But I just feel like no matter what we do, we're just waiting, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting for Tiffany to cash in. And once you know that's a thing, nothing else matters. Nothing else seems like it's in peril. I don't care.
It's not even about that for me, because obviously the Money in the Bank is a cool thing that can add something to a good feud. The problem is this is a nothing feud. It hasn't been well done. We talked about it. And then the match, yeah, you said it. Like, I don't want to bury these 2 women too much because we've seen them have good matches, but this was not their best. There was a lot of mistakes, a lot of botches. So I don't really have a lot to say here, but it definitely was one of the low points of the night.
He said 2 spot talk. Bertsky, time for a bathroom break. Wow. I mean, like, he said it was a giant number 2.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
I think the problem is that sometimes people think they can pull off stuff that they just aren't capable of pulling off. And somebody should tell these people no. And I don't think there's a lot going on. Anyway, let's get to the part that I thought was interesting in the night. Finn and Priest, I thought was a really decent match. I thought these guys killed it personally. And I didn't see anything in the giant holes here. There was a little bit of a weird moment there where I felt like Priest maybe was concussed or forgot something, but still kind of powered through. A lot of gaga here. But, I don't know. It's a lot. But I feel like this is the end of the feud here for the time being. We didn't see. No. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Because it's interesting. And we'll talk about this on Monday overall. I think Monday is going to be tough to watch in terms of how we go till January. But there's a lot of acts on there that are just not available. So.
Well, I'll say this, because I think Finn and Priest have incredible chemistry. And I think that really showed in this match. I think there was a lot of really fun stuff in here. I thought it was a very good technical match, a very entertaining match. But my biggest issues with this match was it wasn't really anything they did. I mean, it's just something they did, but it was more the way this match was booked, especially towards the end. Just like Priest pretty much took Finn's finisher 3 times in the last, I don't know, minute and a half of this match, and pretty much just Superman through it, which, yes, we see falsies all the time. This wasn't as egregious of what The Fiend did to Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia. But to me, it was just kind of it's tough because Priest is having a lot of really good success as a babyface right now. But if you start doing this kind of stuff, this is where the fans can kind of, maybe turn a little, because you get a little bit of that Super Cena. And it's just And look, again, I really like both these guys, and I think this is continuing. But it's just tough because he really Superman the fuck out of Finn there at the end. All those coup de grace, that was a little tough for me. And I saw other people bring it up because I knew it happened in the moment, but I didn't realize how close it was all condensed at the end. And I was like, oh yeah, that's probably not the best. So that's my one little thing of caution with them there. But overall, I thought this was a very good match. I think they could have done a little better there at the end in terms of booking it.
I think it's hard because you try not to let other people influence you, peer pressure, but it's just, I get it, but it didn't bother me because I felt like he is an enormous human being. I can believe that. If he was Finn Balor size kicking out of that shit the other way around, then I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, but it's the way Finn's finisher work is you're already on the ground. So you're taking the full brunt of it. It's tough because it was how it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like the Seth curb stop with the Fiend, and nothing will ever be on that fucking level. And the color of that cage, and the lighting, don't even get me started on that shit. But it wasn't on that level. But it worries me a little bit here, where it's just okay, it's come on, yes, we want Priest to go over in this feud, but does he need to does Finn need to be pushed out? You know what? Finn's the guy that you want to rely on as a heel. He's not the leader of the Judgment Day, but he pretty much is. So it's a tough look. So that's my only critique of this match, because overall I thought these guys did really well.
All right, moving on, we have a historical segment with Triple H, which I personally believe this is just fucking stupid. I'll be honest with you. Not a fan of this at all. We have the Crown Jewel Championship. Braun Strowman won this like 7 years ago, and nobody's ever talked about the greatest battle royal he's ever won because essentially it was the same title. The fact that we're going to have an annual tradition now where the champions face each other for bragging rights and a title that is not defended feels a little AEW-ish for me. And I'll be honest here, if it's Cody and Gunther, that's going to be a cool match. But the way the presentation happened, it made me feel like it told me I could miss it.
Yeah, I hated this. I wore this shirt. It was on purpose today because WWE hasn't done this much the past year, but they left the Dolphin with this shit. First off, that title shit, whatever. If you want to have a title for them that you do once a year thing, do either a one-night tournament or a battle royal like you did before. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life because point A, like you said, it's an exhibition. We can miss it. But it's also like one of your world champions has to get pinned. And yes, we expect there to be some dusty bullshit, whether it's the bloodline costing Cody or someone else costing Gunther. There'll be some fucking bullshit. But then it's just like, so we're just going to do an angle on this super mega fake stupid title. They're going to be walking around with this piece of shit all year? I don't think so. It'll be like the Owen Hart shit, which they have night of and never to be seen again. But I hate this. And it also just like Cody and Gunther is a special feud down the road that was started with that Rumble. And instead of saving it for when one of them is going after the other, we're blowing the load now in an exhibition. So it's just like overall, I think this idea sucks. I think it is stupid. I think it is a waste of time. I mean, literally, they did this at Survivor Series for a year and people didn't give a fuck about that pay-per-view. And yeah, granted, it's Saudi, so you do stuff, but it's just like, you can find different ways to appease those princes than doing this bullshit, in my opinion.
Another thing that really bothered me about this was that Triple H came out and he was like, both champions, men and women, but they only showed the men's title. And I was like, what the fuck is this? You want to talk about inequality?
It is.
They didn't even have the title available for the women. It's like the women are an afterthought. I watched it. I'm like, this just makes me even more angry because it just feels like I don't feel like the women's representation right now is doing very well across the board. I think it's kind of all over the place. And then the fact that they left the championship title off of it because the men's title looks enormous.
It's
like the biggest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It just looks like someone regurgitated ones and zeros on a digital board. I don't get it. And so I was just so fucking angry. And I feel like I'm not going to boycott, Crown Jewel or anything like that. But it left such a fucking taste of just like, God damn it. I don't care about this at all.
Yeah, it's shit. It's complete fucking shit. They left the Dolphin with this.
Joe, don't help. Don't help with this Owen Hart nonsense. All right? No. At least Owen Hart got it. No. That it's the same fucking problem. The Owen Hart Championship tournament is the same fucking problem. You don't defend it. Same thing with the Continental title. Why is it a fucking title? Let's not even get into it. All right? So, all right. Anyway, let's move on to, Liv and Rhea, which also had a lot of gaga.
I enjoyed this gaga, though. The ending was completely botched, as you're going to probably rant about in a minute, which is very fair. But I've overall enjoyed what was going on in this match. The Dom stuff was a lot of fun. He sold it well. I like the spots they had where he fucking pinated. Like, there was a lot of fun stuff that made perfect sense with this feud. And I had no issue with how you were going to end it, but the execution could have been better.
All right. We kind of felt like this was going to be the end. And the fact that it's not the end.
I believe I picked Liv, so JC knew.
What do you mean? You picked Liv, therefore you're wrong.
I know, but I felt that it was going to end because I thought Liv winning would mean that it wouldn't end. I thought they'd cheat to help her win. I didn't think it'd be a fucking DQ.
All I'll say is this. That's a walkthrough. Why the fuck did that? I understand that the referee had no choice, but if you're a referee and you see something, why wouldn't you fall over? Why wouldn't you just stick to the script? It just felt like the minute it happened, I was like, what the fuck is happening? It made no sense to me. And it felt like it could have been recovered. If you're the world leader in what you do, you figure there's ways to cover this shit up. And they tried, but when she dragged Liv over Rhea, I was like, God damn it. Like, this is an all-timer for me. And it's just, there's something about watching Raquel that there's something about her that I just go, I'm sure she's a lovely person. I'm sure she deserves to be there, but something's got to change because there's nothing three-dimensional about her right now. And the fact that she's being added to this fucking, Brady bunch of fucking street trash is just, I don't know. I feel like, you want to talk about Lep the Dolphin? I think this is where Judgment Day finally is just.
No, I think your take just Lep the Dolphin. Because look, it's the funny thing about Raquel, for those of you that remember and fans of the Nestle curse, Nestle was all about Raquel. Cursed the shit out of her at NXT. Jumped off the bandwagon. Then Raquel went on the best run of her career. And it's just like, now obviously she's dealing with some medical stuff. That's why she's been out. But I think the booking of this makes sense. Like, they were tag team partners. When you look at Liv and you look at Rhea, it appears to be a mismatch. So you need a heavy and equalizer like most good heels do. Raquel makes perfect sense as a bodyguard. So to me, it all makes sense. It's just the execution was complete shit. I think this is a better look for Judgment Day because Liv's now more of that classic heel, where the classic heel used to be they had the girl and they had the bodyguard. Well, since it's the girl, she has the man and she has the bodyguard. So it's the classic look, whether you want to go with the Dolph Ziggler with Big E and AJ and yada, yada, so on down the line as we go back. It's the classic wrestling booking. So I don't mind that at all. It's just like, whatever the fuck happened at the end there, like, it's just like, woof, on a PLE, it's tough. It's a tough look.
It's the only thing anybody's going to remember. And that's the toughest part. And I'm sure they'll fix it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to forget by next week.
I think the thing is that
you'll remember because you're Nestle, but yeah.
I'll remember.
Yeah.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
The Nestle remembers.
Moving on after that whole, fucking debacle, we get to, well, the main event.
Mm-hmm.
This was just from top to bottom. I wasn't watching wrestling. I was watching a movie. I mean,
that's what Roman Reigns has been.
Yeah, I mean, just the little things of just Cody Rhodes coming out to a marching band, not to be outdone. Here's a full-fledged orchestra not playing. That lady air drumming made me laugh so hysterically. I'm like, I get it. I get what we're trying to accomplish here. It's fine. It's just the ludicrousy of it all. It was just like, what are we doing? And then that whole thing starts, and then it's just like back and forth, them in the ring, like, you're starting the match? No, I'm starting the match. Like, they kept going back and forth. I love that whole thing. It makes you feel like you're watching something that's a little bit more than wrestling, which I enjoy. The hardest part of this entire thing is you get Jimmy coming back. You get, of course, the bald bitch at the end. You get so much in there. And all I kept sitting and thinking about was, I feel like Cody Rhodes is so lost in this. It's tough. It's so tough. Because here's my thought. He can't get out from underneath this right now. He feels like he is stuck at this. Now, we can talk about what they did afterwards.
I was going to say, he got out of it pretty easily. They did that pretty seamlessly, I thought, with the
I think that one's the tip of the cap. I think that's probably one of the best things they did. It's just, it's hard. It's very, very hard. And I'm watching this and I'm like, we thought we were done with the bloodline. Then we got a new bloodline. Now we got the old bloodline versus the new bloodline. I don't know. It's hard.
This is giving us what we want, though. I had no issues with a lot of this stuff. It was a lot, like you said. It was a lot, but it just like I thought it was entertaining, and from the most part, I thought most people felt that way. Just like it's about what we expected. So it's. I mean, we can talk about The Rock just literally doing nothing. That fucking guy with his stupid fucking title that he gave himself. It's just like. But I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, I thought they did it seamlessly because with KO and the Cody thing happening, I didn't even know this was a thing until 2 days later. But I understand what they're going for there to give it realism. And then on Monday, they really no-sold it, being like, we're not going to talk about this. You need to watch Friday, blah, blah, blah. But I thought they seamlessly did it because Cody, this was a thing to set up the Rock appearance because he has history with both. So it teases the immediate likely friction with Roman and the future friction with Cody. But it also by having KO do the thing with Cody, and Cody already has to do this Gunther bullshit too, it's just that kind of slides him out potentially for now. So we'll see what they do at Crown Jewel if Roman's going over there and wrestling, whether it's him versus Solo, or if they do another fucking tag match or something, who the fuck knows? But it's at least like, I mean, who knows? Are Roman and The Rock even going to be on Friday? I don't know, but it was what needed to happen. And it was what it was. I thought for the most part, though, I thought it was good.
Keep in mind, the KO thing happened, but he's facing Gunther in like 3 weeks.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just
so it's like,
well, it's also, I think it's one of those things where it's like, that's why Gunther defended against Sammy now, because neither of these titles are being defended at that event because they're the event by facing each other. So Cody will either face KO probably on a SmackDown, I would think, or maybe that's what he does at Survivor Series, and that's how you keep him away from this fucking bloodline civil war, which we're expecting at War Games. But there's a long way before that. I mean, we have like almost 2 full months, because I think that's end of November, right? Like right at the end of November. So I'm curious to see what the bloodline does in the short term to set up to see who joins Roman and Jimmy. We would expect it to be Jay and Sammy, but who knows? I mean, we'll get to on Monday when we get to the Shine. But it seems like Jay's reign could be pretty short.
God, I love that, man. Anyway, no, I'm just saying, look, it's weird that they just parade, somebody out at the end there. And all I kept thinking about was, you're the reason that's Hell in a Cell didn't main event. Like, you could have,
main event regardless.
I just feel like you look at the logo, you look at the feud, you think to yourself, like, I get it. It's Roman and it's Cody. I get it. I do. And they set the bar very high. But I just feel like any other day would have been fine. But I just felt like it was just weird to me. It was just a weird ending in terms of like, I was very excited to see Jimmy. I thought like that was a really cool moment. I thought that was cool. Like I don't know if you saw the video of the lip sync and what they were saying to each other, saying like, you called the right play. Like you ran the play. And like, that was a cool little callback to them. I called the hot route and the whole thing. Like, I love that stuff and I'm sure it'll be good. I don't know.
It was a necessary storytelling. I mean, we talked about this for weeks, Nestle. Like this was just like a mark on the calendar to set up what's next. And Jimmy coming in, like it's starting to set like the sides and the battlegrounds of it. So it made sense the way they did it. It just, it's The Rock's always going to be The Rock. So I did 1, 2, 3. Like, who is he? Drew McIntyre? This fucking guy.
Do you know why he did that though?
I don't know anything why The Rock does. He ranted for fucking 30 minutes on social media. I didn't watch that. I can tell you that.
It's because he pinned Cody Rhodes is what he's saying.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad that
and he did this because it's the bloodline. And he said like, he was supposed to, I get it.
The only interesting part of it, I thought it was Solo being like, this is part of the plan. So it's like, it's clearly they're setting it up that The Rock's the mastermind behind Solo's insurrection there. But we'll see. Again, it's storytelling. That's what this is all about. So it's a lot of the times, like you say, it's like a movie because it is. Like the Bloodline Saga has been a movie and the matches are they're the action sequences of a movie. Yeah, it's different. And I think it's kind of cool.
Overall, what did you think of Bad Blood?
I thought the beginning, middle, and end were very good.
The women's matches didn't deliver.
It definitely wasn't in the higher tier of pay-per-views or PLEs this year from WWE. Because, the women's matches unfortunately did under-deliver, which is a shame. Because one of the feuds was hot. And like I said, I thought it was good till they fucked up the end. But, yeah, it wasn't. Because even that's the thing. It's like I thought it opened, obviously, with a bang. That was perfect. But I get people's criticisms and everything else. So it was a very enjoyable watch, but it definitely wasn't their best league.
Also, I'm taking a leap here because of everything, but are you looking at a text message from a certain somebody who photoshopped me? You know what? This is an upgrade from this is an upgrade. I'll take it. I don't know if you can see that. That's me and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, her worst haircut she's ever had.
I mean,
never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Because you realize it's a bad take.
What was your take on Bad Blood?
I think it was fine. I like the 6. I didn't watch it at live. I caught up to it, but I like these Saturday pay-per-views. They're
going away for the most part because they're not. The reason why this was at 6 was set at the UFC, and Dana's been pretty adamant that they'll be going back to Sundays, or if they do Saturday shows, it'll be on nights where UFC doesn't have a big show.
So did you watch UFC as well? Was this a long night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I had to work at like fucking 5 a.m. the next morning. So
was it fatigue for you by the end?
No, I'm fine. I'm a big boy.
All right, just curious.
I mean, I'm used to watching fucking football all weekend too, so
that's true.
I'm used to the marathons, baby.
All right, no need to get hot. I'm just asking a question there, Joshua.
I'm just saying. I don't leave Dolphins, man. I soar over them, so. I know it's like the same thing. That didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Always in the shine. That's where we're going next, Nestlemania. And I mentioned it earlier, but Jey Uso would ever retain against Xavier Woods. Broad Breaker said, "No yeet, motherfucker." All you people like, he's a babyface now. It's like, nah, bro. They swerved your dumb fucking asses. Good fucking job. Broad Breaker. Yeah, he respected Jey Uso, but he said, "Fuck you, I'm taking my title back because you ain't better than me." And guess what, Nestlemania? He probably is going to take that title back. My guess is they do it at Crown Jewel so the crowd doesn't have a mutiny, and that can set up fucking Mr. Yeet Boy to go help his brother and his cousin. So with that, motherfucker, but that was my shine of the week, was Braun Breaker being like, my title's coming home, bitch.
I got really mad that Woods just got like trampled in this thing, but that's beside.
I think it's good for his character.
I think it is too. But I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like, at least let him. I wanted him to win so bad, so it's just
no,
like
you can't because then it wouldn't make sense for him to turn heel.
Yeah, I know, I get it. It's a personal preference. I know the better stories than what they're doing. I get it.
Hey, if this story is successful, there is a chance he becomes a mid-card champion because of it. So.
Yeah, we just gotta wait. Gotta be patient.
For the story here, exactly. Patience is a virtue.
Patience. Baby. I'm learning patience.
I would hope so. With your little ones.
I was gonna say, well, they run the show, so
exactly.
It is what it is. My daughter was like, "Can I come on the podcast?" And then I'm like, "Get in bed. What are you doing?" She's like, "I want to talk."
Be a better host than you.
She probably would. She'd actually, but the problem is you wouldn't get a word in edgewise. She'd just trample over you. She'd squash you. So
be an upgrade.
Yeah. Well. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit for you. So it is what it is. One week you'll be able to host with the Backcracker, and you guys can talk about how much you love each other. It'll be great.
I'll probably just shit on you. It's more fun.
If I didn't exist, I wouldn't bring people together. There you go. Anyway, let's talk about things that are exciting because that's always a good thing here. Let's see. I'm curious. Did you like CM Punk on Monday coming out and selling the injury and like kind of teasing things? Like, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought that was obviously I love the selling part because that's one thing that has really, I feel like, lacked in wrestling the last decade or so. It's just like they have these mega matches over the weekend and you come out on Monday and it's just like, oh, I'm fine. It's like, no, like, especially in this scenario, it's like, I want to see the pain. And I like that both guys are going to go away for a bit because it's some of those things like sometimes you run too hot that if you do something immediately next, it doesn't feel good. But if you let them cool down a little bit, it makes it so when they come back, they're hotter or they're just as hot. You know what I mean? So I kind of like the breather, but I do like that he was the victor. So the victor should come out and have a victory lap. But it's just like CM Punk's an old dog, man. He gets this fucking business. People can say whatever they want about him, but he is a fucking very intelligent person in this wrestling business. He fucking gets it. And I thought it wasn't necessary. And I like that they didn't really set anything up. Like he didn't have a stare down with Gunther or anything like that. It's like, we'll get there. That's coming. He had the thing with Seth, which that's perfect. Like that's literally been the feud since the night he showed up in WWE. That's the next long-term story, but we ain't there yet. But got to remind people that it's still there. And I like that.
I also thought to myself, well, he probably didn't want to work Saudi anyway. So have a 3-week, whatever off if you want. So
he doesn't need the payday like other guys do.
Well, that's true. He's made enough money off the haters, as he said in his promo, which I thought was pretty good at the end there. Yep. Anything else that you thought was very shine-worthy?
Oh, yeah, Nestle. Would you like to go to SmackDown?
Sure, let's take a gander.
Because there was a great match. It was an intergender match, triple threat, like specialty match, where you had Chelsea Green, Michin, and Chris Jericho. And Michin won the match by throwing Chelsea Green into Chris Jericho, that giant fucking turd who finally made his return to WWE, where he's well represented. But in all seriousness, I thought this match was a blast. And I think that everything that has happened since this match has been a blast with everyone. Like, it was like, I think it was Austin Theory had like a cake
chocolate
or something.
Cake, yeah.
He's like, why does it smell? And it was Chelsea. Then you obviously had the sweet, which was fucking apparently for real bopping on Saturday, but also with the segments. And it's just like, she comes in and she stinks and I let Piper stay. But it's just like, Chelsea's another person who just fucking gets it. And she's not afraid to be the fucking clown. In fact, she embraces it because she knows she's great at it. And it just like, for someone like Michin, who I'm not the biggest believer in, I like her because I think she's unique. This is the perfect type of match for her. and giving her this big moment against Chelsea. I saw so many people like just putting Michin over, being like, oh, if they ever do a mid-card title, I love it to be Michin. I'm like, that's the value of a Chelsea Green, because she just can do this and is willing to sacrifice herself to elevate people. And this was an absolute blast, Nestlemania. I know you liked it too.
Listen, the fact that she came out in gear with a trash bag, I was like, this, like, this is the stuff that I will always enjoy watching, because it's just, when you know somebody like Chelsea Green is a selfless, and let me say that slowly, selfless performer, then you know you're going to get the best of both worlds, because there's no bullshit. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of wrestling, is like, I got to get my shit in. I got to do this. I got to do that. Chelsea Green's like, put me through a fucking table through a dumpster, please. Like, how can you not enjoy that? How can you not enjoy working with that person, right? Like, I'm assuming there's a laundry list of people back there being like, can I do a fucking yada yada match against Chelsea Green? Chelsea Green exponentially has proven over time she can wrestle. She could be a credible threat, but she realizes that this is right in her wheelhouse. Like, this is how she's going to make her money. And it's so smart. And it, for somebody that is not going to be ever featured as the woman with the top heavy kind of what they have there, she has carved out such a niche for herself that is so good, because after a while, we'll get there and be like, oh, here comes the shoveler again. Oh, Bailey's on top again. Oh, here comes Rhea, not losing anybody. Like, but you'll never say that about Chelsea Green. You'll say, I fucking enjoyed it. That's all you're going to say. You're going to laugh. You're going to enjoy yourself. And it's going to take you out of the everyday mundane bullshit that you try to escape when you watch wrestling to begin with. So she right there, she's so high in my opinion. People need to do more of that stuff.
Besides Kathy Kelly, who I want to marry, was Chelsea Green the best of the rehired or the ones that got fired?
Yeah. Oh, I think we said that when she got rehired. Yeah. Like,
but I think that's just like it's beyond solidified at this point.
I would go as far as I think she's better than Kathy Kelly in terms of the rehiring, because you already knew what Kathy Kelly was.
Nestlemania. And it's just a different category. Kathy just gets it because she's Kathy Kelly. So it just has nothing to do with performance.
Anyway, when you can get it back in your pants, what else would you like to talk about that was, positive?
The good old Donnybrook match. Speaking of fun gimmicky matches.
Donnybrook.
Holy fuck, man. Like, I mean, I expected it to be like this, but it's just like Sheamus obviously flourishes in these types of matches. I think it's one of those things with Pete Dunne, is he's had such a very up and down run since on the main roster. I think we forget how young he is still too, which is crazy. So he's going to be here on a long time. But I thought, and I think Sheamus's tweet perfectly encapsulated when he took the pictures back and he just said like Pete Dunne, like he respected him as his name from that. It's just like, to me, that's what I took away. I'm like, I feel like this was, obviously he's been there. He's already arrived, but this felt like a stamp for him to be like, okay, I might believe you more with the big boys now, because this was a very good performance against a very good veteran. And he definitely has things that he needs to improve to get to the next level, especially in terms of character type stuff, but I think he's capable of it. But this match was a lot of fun. And I think, again, it's one of those things like Sheamus won the match, but that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm looking at Pete Dunne as the big winner from this match.
I mean, the white noise through the table, it was great. All the fucking cricket bats and the shillelaghs and all that nonsense. But then you get to the point where he gets fucking zip tied and still
you knew he was going to bro kick with no hands.
I
couldn't wait for it. The minute I saw it, I popped because I was like, he's going to bro kick him with no hands, and it's going to be awesome.
I was watching it going, he's going to fucking pin this motherfucker. And I thought he was going to, like, when somebody gets like zip tied and they just like don't have their body, like core strength, I thought he was just going to like lay on top of him afterwards, but he like wiggled off of him. Like, that was such a nice thing to do. You gentleman, you. But no, I usually roll my eyes at the Donnybrook, but it's become Sheamus's thing and it's funny, but it's just like, you can't, sometimes like there's too much gimmick stuff a lot of the times, but when they're done correctly,
disagree.
I love it. I think
I love gimmick matches. I've always loved gimmick matches.
Except cage matches, of
course. The
course.
Halloween street fights, the 24th Street, like all that shit. Like, it's fun and relevant. And it just, in this one, it made sense for the feud because they really played up with the shillelagh and everything. It just like, That's the thing is because a lot of the times, and I like part of your criticism that I agreed with is that they just do these matches to do these matches. It wouldn't make sense to be like, oh, OC, you're gonna fight, I don't know, Gable and Jordan tonight in a fucking Halloween street fight for no reason. And you know, whatever, you have the pumpkin spot and it was fun, which I always enjoyed. But like now it's like they pull out these matches and it's like they're set up in a reasoning to why they're happening. And it's just like it's that's just something with the Triple H errors. Everything is thought out in advance. And so when you get there, it's just you combine the funness of the match with it making sense. Shine.
I agree. Circle gets a square. Anything else on SmackDown that you found that was very good? Or
I did enjoy the ladder match because it was a ladder match. And I think the right team won. It's just I'm interested to see how they continue to book this. But my favorite part of the match, Nestlemania, was the ending. Because watching Tonga Loa stand on top of the ladder, I was like, you dumb motherfucker, you're gonna fall. But to his credit, he didn't. He was standing up there holding on. But I'm like, please don't stand up. Please don't stand up. And he did. But I was just dying because it's just like this guy fucking cracks me up so much. I enjoy him. And I enjoy that he fully embraces like the stuff people make fun of him for. Like you can tell he's kind of in on it. And I think that's cool. So it's just another thing I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, this is a moment for him to set up a huge botch. Please don't fucking fall. But he had that smirk on his face. It's like the student knows what he's doing because these guys aren't dumb. They read what people say about him. And it's just like, it's not like Chelsea because this is different, but it's just like, if you lean into it, it makes it better. But I thought this was fun. And like I said, the ending was fucking hilarious.
I just thought like that sometimes these car wrecks are just out of the control. And like watching what happened with that blockbuster thing with Montez Ford, I was just like, that seems
crazy, man.
Unnecessary. But man, it was spectacular kaboom. But man, like the other thing too, I was just like, the tag team division in general just needs something. And it just feels like we are just.
Well, they're getting it as we've seen from the vignettes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get there. But it's just one of those things like, at least like in a match like this, I'm seeing some of the division. I think Raw ones are really suffering because they're just not being defended. Both those guys are fighting singles matches. At least on SmackDown, it's like we see them every week. They feel important. And there does seem to be contenders for them. But it seems like on Raw, the Viking Raiders appear to be returning soon by that vignette. And on SmackDown, the Motor City Machine Guns seem on the way. So it seems like reinforcements are coming, which is, again, needed because tag team wrestling in general across all the main shows this year has not really been there. NXT's done the best job, and they literally have no tag teams, but they at least like have people wrestle all the time in tag matches. So it's like, okay, there's people that exist. But yeah, like Fraxium, I'm not a fan, but we talk about best tag teams of the year. They're probably going to have to be nominated because they're actually a tag team that's on every week defending titles and fighting in tag team wrestling. Whereas AEW and main roster WWE, not as much of a thing.
All right. Do you have anything else you would like to get heaty?
We can get heaty.
All right, get him off my TV, get him off my TV, get him off my TV. Where do we begin? We can go really just fast and terrified here. We can see. We'll see.
It's your part-time the drive, baby. So you said
okay, I can kick it into high gear here. Let's see. So we didn't talk about your favorite Miz and Cross and Truth. That's a thing. We're having that next week. Not a huge fan, but
I like it.
It is what it is.
It's setting up. I know what you liked the most was the Paul Ellering tweet from the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I need to just subscribe so I can see it right away, but it's just like they don't make any sense, but they fucking crack me up. I need more backyard videos.
No, just no. Just no. The other thing
it's Halloween month, bro. We got to get a little weird.
It's weird. So the other thing too is like, okay, we have Dom and Liv and Raquel coming out of the car only to go back in the car. And I'm like, this.
I kind of liked it.
It was just so stupid because I was like, what the fuck are we doing? The other thing too was like, now the 10-woman tag.
No, I was
God.
waiting. I thought this is where you're going to start your heat.
No, I'm just
fucking a shit show.
This to me made me feel like I was watching something from like 5 years ago.
Yeah, when Raw was 2 hours, this is what it was like.
This is bad for everybody involved till we get to Netflix. We are going to be limping along for 2.5 months, probably.
Well, these are the segments that suffer. It's those D, E, F tier feuds, which a lot of them we've enjoyed this year. I mean, obviously the women's have been kind of a mess on both shows, but it's like this is where it suffers. You know what I mean? So
I'm just not a huge fan of it. I'll be honest. I just feel like
The baby's got the win.
I know, but who cared? Now what, right? Like, what do you do now? It's just like that. Then it's just other things happening. Like we don't have time for Xavier Woods. He got fucking squashed, and you can tell me what you want about that. That's fine. But there's just not enough time for everybody on Raw when you lose that hour, which is, let's say, 30 more minutes of something.
Triple H talked about that too. He said it's going to be very challenging because there's so much less you can do now. But it's like they're just going to have to be more creative with things. And I think the opportunity it does give, and SmackDown a few years ago did this very well, which is now like there's in some ways getting back to it where it's just like people can be on every week, but it's just like obviously not everyone can wrestle every week, but it's like you can set up more things with like short angles. Like you said you didn't love the Miz Cross Truth thing, but like that match, if it was a 3-hour Raw, that match might have been like, I'm going to fight you tonight. But it's one of those things. Now you can set it up, promote it for a week. And that's like if you can do it right, it sets it up, it spaces stuff out more, lets things breathe a little more. But it's just like, it's one of those things. The other side of the coin is they do a 10-women's tag because they're trying to keep everyone on TV and they just don't have as much time.
I don't know. It just feels like we are so screwed when it comes to anything in the women's division right now. I have zero faith that any of this stuff is going to be good until Netflix comes here. It's just going to be limping along. Just my thought. Because Rumble wakes everybody up and it's Mania and it's the whole thing. And John Cena will be back and
John Cena's not a woman though.
No, but I'm just saying like there's going to be so many things like Charlotte Flair will return at the Rumble. Everybody's going to be excited. Like there's so many
big
things.
Big time Bex.
Yeah, there's going to be so many things that it's going to feel weird, but we'll get there. It's going to be a tough 2.5 months for me, at least watching wise. Is there anything that you didn't want to talk about that you didn't like or anything like that?
On SmackDown, it's one of those things like I like the idea of this, but what the fuck was the matter with LA Knight on SmackDown? The motherfucker couldn't talk. I've never seen this before. He was stumbling and bumbling all over that entire promo, and it kind of took me out of it because it's like you're setting up this AJ Mello thing, obviously, where AJ had a fake injury, but then also might have had a real injury besides the work injury, like completely separate from it. Who knows? And then it's Mello's now getting the title shot, which seemed to be the plan the whole time anyways. But just LA Knight's promo, like when he came out and did the BFT or whatever the fuck his finish is called at the end, like that was perfectly executed out of nowhere. But the promo before this, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen LA Knight have trouble talking before. Like, what the fuck?
No, it felt like he was just not in it. Like he just didn't care. Yeah, it was just weird. Like maybe he had marble mouth. I have no idea. It was tough. It was definitely very tough. I think we've seen why he's not going to be world champion. Let's just put it that way.
He's just not going to do it either.
But I don't have faith in him being past what he is right now.
Yeah, and I think that was always our expectation for him. Like, this is his peak, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, sell T-shirts, make money, man. Do what you got to do. But yeah, don't sniff a main event. That's all I ask. I'm sure we could talk about other things here, but I don't necessarily have a lot. The one thing I will say, I am going to bring up AEW in my heat here because I think it's something that is something that just throws me off, right? Like, so we didn't get to talk about this. We had the overrun, which was the longest overrun in history, which that's what it is. It's fine. But then we had the 20 minutes with the fucking Continental title, and then we had the rest be for. So my thought was, first off, we know Jon Moxley's facing you at Wrestle Dream, so Okada's not really a threat to begin with. But then you throw in this overrun thing, so you announce that there's an overrun, which tells me mathematically that you're going to start this, and it's going to go longer than 20 minutes. So why would you even put that in a graphic and give away that there's an overrun, give away that champion is not going to lose his championship, and then it's just like, okay, we clearly know that Danielson's going to win. I just felt like in something that should be Danielson and Okada, which should be rock hard. This is where Dom and fucking Conway will have full fucking raging, wrestle boners. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what the fuck are we doing? And then to add insult to injury, you start the 5-year anniversary with Ricochet and Ospreay, which everybody's going to love. And then you put Take a Shitta in there, and he just fucking takes a shitta all over that match, which I was like...
Well, they didn't even just do that, Nestlemania. They had a double pin before and restarted the match just for that to happen. It's just like, this is why I look at it. It's just like the term overbooked, I think, is used way too much. But this is a situation where it's like, this was literally overbooked. Like, you had 2 finishes. It's like, that's the difference. It's just like, man, like, obviously you're going to extend this. We knew this was going to have something, but it's like, you don't need 2 different. It's just like, this whole show was a fucking piece of shit, for being honest. There was not one redeeming thing that happened in those 2 hours.
It just upsets me because they have the ability, and I think like you want
they
them
have
to
the talent.
Yeah.
They just it's hasn't been good for a while, the product, and it's just I completely stopped watching Friday and Saturday because it's tough, but this was just this was a 2-hour reason of why AEW is failing right now. It's a mess.
And the Joe Stopper, our Collision Cowboy, our AEW person says, I wanted it at All In, and it goes on a TV match, which I agree.
It made no sense. And like you said, it's like, I remember when I saw this before the match happened, I saw the graphic and I sent it to like our group and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've never seen a stipulation with a qualifier with like 20 minutes. Just like, first off, it's like, we know it's going over. It's like, why even have this stipulation? It's a fucking stupid stipulation. This whole show, everything they do, it's like, they can't have something that's like, this is good by itself. How can we make it worse and ruin it? That's what AEW is doing right now. And it fucking is frustrating as a fan.
So we didn't also get to talk about the deal. They got a big deal.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Excited to see what happens.
The streaming is huge for them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their audience isn't watching on cable anyways. So
no.
They're probably illegally streaming it or find other ways to watch it. So being able to stream it on Max, which a lot of people have because they pay for it. Now a lot of fans might pay for that. Just like that's the slam dunk to this deal of me. And also they kind of will have a library now because of it, which again, another slam dunk.
I think it's going to help them in the long run. But the one thing I will laugh at, which is kind of something that really like rings true to me, is now the ratings, all these fucking nerds talking about the ratings, it'll be even more irrelevant because there's more people watching on Max. Because you know what I mean? Like
that's why always my thing when talking about ratings. It's just like they're so irrelevant because there's so much of the audience that isn't even calculated into this. And that's why like granted, if you want to compare like something to that night, like sure, I guess, but it's like when people compare ratings to like now to what they were even 5 years ago before that, it's like that's fucking not even it's dumb. It's a nonsensical comparison. And it just anybody who does that, it's just I immediately write you off as like you have an agenda because obviously there was one way to watch fucking 10 whatever how many years ago. Now there's a lot of ways to watch and a lot of those ways aren't calculated. So it's insane that that's still how a lot of things are like show profit and like people in sales departments use, but it's just like it's so broken. But yeah, I mean, look, their ratings have been absolutely dog shit anyways, but it'll help the product in general and get more exposure in general. And I think Max will get very good traffic on it, and they'll be excited for that.
The one thing that is a head scratcher to me, we don't know for sure what Shockwave will be and where it is. You heard Swerve tell people they're on Fox, which I find it incredibly hard to believe that they'll be on Fox. They might be on FS1. They might be on other.
Well, yeah, I think it'll be FS1 Friday nights would be my guess.
I just don't think they're going to be on Fox. That'd be mine.
It's one of those. I don't think so either. I think FS1. I think you're exactly right about that. But it's one of those things. It depends. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like seasonally, maybe on Fox because. I mean, Fox kind of said like they don't mind being out of the wrestling. They just like they spent a lot of money at WWE because it's a bigger type thing. But I think you're on the right track though. I think it will primarily be FS1, which I don't think is a bad thing for AEW. I think that's kind of like their wheelhouse. So
I don't know. It just seems like they're touting a lot. Like let's right the ship before we start like really touting everything. But again, we want them to succeed. It's better for the economy. It's better for wrestlers. It's better for everybody to have jobs. It's better to do all this shit. But just stay in your goddamn lane. Just stay in your lane, please. All right. Anyway, should we get hopeful?
Yeah, we should.
Glorious. You're my only hope. Should I go first?
Sure.
Okay, I will go first. So I had two hopes, but I think I'm going to go with the one that I like more. As I was listening to a CM Punk podcast this past week, I think it was Ice Cube's Kids podcast. He was talking about a bunch of different things, but at the end of that segment, he said, I didn't like you back in the day, and da-da-da-da. He says, you don't like me now, wait 6 months. And I went, oh, yeah, like it. There's so many things that I could think of. So here's what I want. I want Sami Zayn somehow hook or crook before WrestleMania to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther. I think their match on Monday proved that there could be more down the line because, yeah, he passed out, but he didn't tap out, and that's the underdog story, even though he's not an underdog anymore. That's why I would say finally give Sammy his moment, have CM Punk turn on him directly and make him a fucking flash-in-the-pan champion, and the crowd will turn on him being like, you motherfucker, you got me so pissed off. And then you can have Punk be the champion all the way to Mania, have that belt on him to get him all that press, get him all that media, because, you know, that's all they're going to talk about is CM Punk's first WrestleMania back anyway. And then you have Seth Rollins, and you have that big fucking moment, and you can have whatever you want be the outcome. But man, oh man, CM Punk with that championship leading into Mania being a heel, talking about Seth Rollins, to me, I think is going to be fucking gangbusters. That's my hope. Hashtag Nestle doesn't know. Hashtag Nestle has no fucking clue. Hashtag Nestle is just here for giggles. You're up.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this WrestleDream card, trying to think of how I can make something about this cool. And I can't get past this thing that says there's a guy named Atlantis Jr. He's a champion. Okay. And also that Darby Allin was announced as an open challenge, but they already have the opponent listed. Then it's not an open challenge, guys. I think we need to define to you what an open challenge is, because it's literally you decided a week in advance. That's no longer an open challenge. You fucking twat waffles. So yeah, I wasn't really inspired, but looking at this, I'm like, you know what? One of the main reasons I'm not enjoying AEW right now is because Bryan Danielson as champion is the fucking drizzling shits. Yeah, his feuds suck. It's not believable. It's not entertaining. He's having all his dream matches, making the title look worse because it's like, oh, I have to defend against Nigel in his first match back, where you couldn't just wrestle Nigel without it's making everything shittier. So my hope's pretty simple. I hope Moxley beats the fuck out of him and takes that title, and we can move on and get that fucking dink out of here. Done. I'm done. I'm sorry. Goodbye to a legend. I've had enough. Don't stay so long that you become fucking Chris Jericho, Daniel. Don't come stay that long. So hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC helps come true. We'll preview this bullshit in a little bit. But yeah, give me Mox as champ, and let's just fucking end it so we can all move on with our lives.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Don't clip that.
Oh, I'm absolutely going to clip, because you know why I'm going to clip it.
Oh, yeah, the virgins are going to fucking hate that. But you know what? It's one of those, like, because watching it, there's a lot of reasons why I don't have it. And with MJF, Wardlow, Hobbs, these guys start to come back, that'll help for sure. But it's just like, man, I like Swerve had such a rocky start, but then he started to hit his stride, and then he just took it away. And it's just like, man, I wish they would have just kept that going. And if you want to give Danielson a chance, like, let him wrestle his Nigels. Let him wrestle his Okadas. And then we get to this point. But it's just like, we just gave him the title, took it away from Swerve, and then he got to do all his bullshit. And it's just like the title feels like secondary. So it's like, put it on someone believable, because I'm fucking done. I am. And it's Bryan Danielson is amazing. He's a fucking legend. He's one of the best to ever fucking lace him up. He still can go as good as anyone out there. But it's just like the storytelling with him. I don't know if it's because he's booking his own shit, or if Tony's just fucking goo goo gaga fucking moron. I think it's a combination of both, if we're being honest. But it's just like, I'm done. I'm frustrated as someone who likes watching AEW, not recently, but for the most part enjoys it. I am not enjoying it right now, and it's frustrating.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
If it was kind of like Ric Flair, the first time he retired, when it was just like the next time he loses, he's done.
That's kind of what Brian has said.
No. But what I'm saying is, if it didn't include the championship,
yeah,
would that be better for you?
No, because I do agree that part of his story was he eventually had to win this thing, but it's just like, I think it's one of those things where they did it and you make the decision, that's fine, but now you need to support it. But it's like his first title defense is against Jungle Boy, who's a champion of another one, not a believable challenger. His next defense is against Nigel McGuinness, who hasn't wrestled in over a decade, a retired announcer. And then his next defense is Okada, who is, again, another mid-card champion who has been not pushed properly on the program. And it's just like, you have like deflated it like a fucking all of Tom Brady's alleged footballs. It's just taking all the steam out of it. So it's just like, why not do those things and then maybe have him win the title here? You know what I mean? Because it's like now he has 3 wins that make sense of climbing a ladder, and it's just like now that's behind him. But it's the way they've done it. It hasn't been good for that championship. And on a show that's struggling, if your main event, because that was always the thing with AEW, if there would be like they'd struggle elsewhere, if they had a strong main event picture, which for the most part they've done a decent job, that helps. But when your main event is lacking, it makes everything else look way worse too. And that is part of the reason why these shows are pretty difficult to watch. And our boy Joe Stopper does fucking God's work by documenting all this shit for all of us.
All right. Time for our comeback. Would you like to go?
Hey, no, stop the name. Nah, positive AW. See, I can do that too. My boy Shelty B got hired. He has a job. He's a consultant or whatever the fuck with MVP.
He's the president of the complaint department.
Yes, which is I enjoy. I mean, we're gonna get more Shelton memes. Shelton's a legend. He's a stud. So very happy that he's on the show. Him and MVP together. It obviously means Lashley's around the corner. I am curious to see if Swerve is part of it, like they've kind of teased, and who else is part of it. But look, I think this is a nice short-term solution to some of their problems, but it's one of those things. I think this is just a stopgap because inevitably, like most things, this will run its course pretty quickly and then they won't know what to do and it'll be a mess again. But it just, when it feels like you need a little bit of a spark, this could be a nice short-term spark. But I'm just happy to see my boy Shelty back because there ain't no stopping me. No.
Would you be excited if Cedric came as well to complete the faction?
Is he losing his job as far as he's.
No, I'm not hoping for him to lose his job.
No, I don't think he's going anywhere.
All I could think about was just watching MVP talk. I'm like, I don't want to hear him
Especially how that place.
I don't want to hear MVP
I don't know if he'd ever go there because of the way they treated his girl. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that. That's an excellent point. I will say, I can't hear anymore. Why can't I hear? Oh, there you go. Because I'm not plugged in. Great television.
I could have said whatever I wanted there. And
I know. I would have just agreed with you and laughed. And so, look, my comeback is going to go to somebody that came back at Bad Blood. That's right, folks. He's bald. He's beautiful. He's been in movies. He wears leather. Sometimes he just knows exactly where to be and just stare at the camera. I'm talking about Dwayne, no, I can't do it. I'm giving it to Goldberg.
Was this the best Goldberg segment of all time?
I was shocked when I saw when Gunther came over and was like, "We got Bill Goldberg," and just the way he said Goldberg, I was just dying.
Gunther is a fucking megastar.
Oh my god! And then the fact he was like, "I have to clarify something." When I said. I was just like, of course.
I lied. The way he did it, just like, when did this guy become so fucking funny? But it's just like, Nestlemania. I want to see this match.
I do too.
It's like, instead of Cody Gunther, give me Gunther Goldberg a crown jewel. Like, give me a fucking whatever. I don't care. I just like, I mean, imagine if they do this at WrestleMania. That'd be so funny. But I wouldn't hate it. I'd be, especially if Gunther, like you hope for, doesn't hold the title. Him versus Lesnar or Goldberg is the match I would want at WrestleMania for him.
I am sitting there thinking to myself, Goldberg does not need to win. He can get in his fucking he will get the shit kicked out of him. And I'm sure Gunther will just take it. The one thing that makes me nervous is this is going to be a car crash, 8 minutes or less, because that's what Goldberg can handle.
Yeah, it has to be.
But man, is Gunther going to send him out on his shield if that happens? Like, all I could think about
this would be a very good retirement match for Goldberg. I think it'd be someone he'd be okay with too, because this guy's literally been booked as an unstoppable force since he's been here. So
I think it would be wonderful. Like, just what he said to Goldberg about like a one-trick pony. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like my mouth just started frothing. Like I was just like, this is so much fun because it literally is the polar opposites of each other. You have someone that's really good at wrestling and someone who's not good at wrestling, and became probably one of the most recognizable people in wrestling history for not being good at wrestling, yet somehow having an aura that is just above and beyond everything. Like it must bother Gunther like to his core. That's why I'm excited for it. I don't know when we're getting it. It seems like we're getting it. But if it's not at Saudi, if it's at Mania, I'll probably cry a little, but it's all right. But just give it time.
If Gunther's not the champion, it should be at Mania, especially if Brock's not coming back at this point. It's just like Those are the two non-title matches that I think Gunther should have before those guys are done.
I'm imagining, if it was me in a positive cloud of just untrained just thoughts, right? I think in the world of, Planet Fafluga, Nestlemania, I think Lesnar is coming back. And I think the setup is going to be, I just squash Goldberg, and then you hear, and then I'm going to be like, oh, it's going to be great. Yeah. It's going to be great.
That'd be great.
It's going to be fucking great. Like an elimination chamber or something, right? Like just.
That'd be fantastic.
It's going to be great. You want to get to the big old finish?
Big old finish. Before we get to Wrestle Dream, on SmackDown, they didn't really it doesn't seem like they have booked a lot, but they said Cody and KO Fallout, Bloodline Fallout. So women's division Fallout, all that stuff. But on Raw, we do have 3 matches booked. We have The Miz versus R-Truth, as you alluded to earlier. We have Jade and Bianca defending their championships against Damage Control. And we have Braun Breaker squashing Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, I don't know.
What don't you know?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds fun.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of that.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All
right, should we get to Wrestle Dream?
You sound so excited for Wrestle Dream.
I mean, I looked at the card and damn, that was a vicious knockout. Sorry.
All I'm saying is let's just rip through it, okay? Let's, like a Band-Aid, let's just do this.
Well, luckily we don't have to predict Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage because it's on the pre-show.
Well, that's where it belongs because I don't even know who Atlantis Jr. is.
That's me too. I don't either. That's why when I was like, he's the Mexican luchador Enmascarado, which is professional wrestler. He works for Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, CMLL, where he is the NWA World Historic Light Heavyweight Champion in his first reign. He appears in Ring of Honor, so that's why this is a Ring of Honor World Television match.
I'm sure Showstopper is very upset that we don't know who he is.
There's your fact check from Wikipedia. Now we can predict them.
All right, here we go. Mark Briscoe versus somebody we're not going to name for the ROH Championship. God help us, Briscoe. We're not even going to say his name. It's like the opposite of Beetlejuice.
Say his name, but don't, because we don't want him to appear. I don't believe in Y2J.
That was not a good one, but okay. Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's see. We've also got Darby Allin versus Brody King.
The open challenge, which is already decided. I'll give me Darby Allin. He needs the win.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like, unfortunately, Brody King is much like the Murder Hawk who just slips on a banana peel. Although very impressive, they just seem to slip on banana peels when it matters.
They're big, monstrous losers. I agree.
They're big oafs who don't get the dubs. That's all I have to say about that. Let's move on here. We've got Jack Perry defending the TNT Championship here against Shibata.
People are going to pay for this pay-per-view, guys. That is fucking embarrassing. Give me Jungle Jackass.
Wow.
Like, who the fuck wants to see this match? Like, fuck off. This is literally dog shit. Like, you should be paying people to watch this. This isn't even good enough for a Dynamite. Keep going.
Okay, we're pissing through this. This might be the quickest thing ever. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita in a 3-way for the International Championship. Now,
this match will rule.
This match will be very good.
Yeah.
This match might be the only match worth putting your money down. I think there is a real chance here.
Yeah,
for new champ.
Yeah, I'm picking Takeshita.
I was also going to pick the Takeshita. That's all.
I think it makes sense. I think that it just makes sense because those two can let their gymnastics routine get in the way. And I think Takeshita at this point needs something on his shoulder because he kind of had this nice peak earlier in the year and he kind of lost all momentum at this point. But I think it works well with the Don Callis type feud thing going on here too. So there's a lot of good reasons to why he should walk out as champ.
Moving on, we've got the Young Bucks defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against Private Party. There's a chance. There's a chance.
There's always a chance. We saw it happen in Boston on there, the 8-1 upset, but I don't think there's a chance today. Give me the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks it is. Across the board. Let's see what else we've got on here. We've got Mariah May defending it against TBD, which makes me think doesn't matter. It's Mariah May.
Yeah, you can write down Mariah May for me. It just, I think Mercedes is defending again. Well, so it's. I think they were setting up Willow for Mariah May, weren't they? So maybe it'll be Willow, but maybe they do someone else and they're gonna do the Willow because then Stat appears to be going after Mercedes. It seems like, but Mercedes is defending against the Emi Sakura fucking again, AEW is a complete fucking mess. But yeah, Mariah May's the pick.
Mariah May. I screwed up all of what's his face's poor TJ. He's dealing with a hurricane, and I'm here fucking up his shit.
Another hurricane named Nestle ruining up his sheet.
It's true. I'm so sorry, TJ. Hopefully you still love me, or at least tolerate me. And the main event, as we talked about, Bryan Danielson against Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. Plastic bag not included.
You didn't even say the best part of this match. It's Jon Moxley with Marina Shafir.
No,
his enforcer.
No. I refuse to acknowledge that woman exists.
Do we get Shane McMahon on whatever?
I don't think Shane McMahon's a part of this at all. I really don't.
Then who is Moxley working for?
Tony Khan. Somehow. I don't know why. It feels like the Shane McMahon thing's too new. I don't, or maybe the Elite or something. Like I feel like the Elite are pulling the string. Something's gonna happen like that.
It's weird, but I mean, we agree Danielson's gonna win.
Right, it's Danielson all the way. So it is what it is.
Shit. Dom, don't buy this. This is a TED Talk. Do not buy this piece of shit. Nobody should buy this piece of shit. That is the only way they're gonna notice that their product sucks. So all you marks out there who just want to buy it because you love it, the easiest way to protest is to not put money in their pocket because that's how they notice and that's how they have to be better.
Dom's gonna bet on baseball anyway, so he may not even have the money for it.
Hey, if he's been betting the Mets like me, he's probably making bank, baby. M-E-T-S, Mets.
I have not watched any baseball. Where are we? Are we in the
ALDS and NLDS?
So who's going to win this whole thing?
I don't fucking know.
Okay.
You're asking the guy who just like rides hot teams. Like last year, I rode the D-backs to the finals and their train ended. And this year I'm riding the Mets, so that train comes off, you know?
All right.
I like the Padres too. They're playing the Dodgers. I think that series is 1-0 or 1-1. I don't know. American League, Tigers got a big upset win.
Not surprising that you and I are all the same on predictions here.
This card sucks. Like I will try to find that triple threat match, but everything else, like unless if there's cool angles, like there's nothing on there that I give a fuck about, which is a damn shame because they're trying to sell this on pay-per-view.
Right. Okay. Okay. It is what it is. I think we're all set. You want to get the hell out of here?
Let's get out of here. And on Programming Row, next week we will be on Wednesday. So
that's true. All right. On that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.